Hello, everybody. Today, I wanted to present on something that's been an ongoing issue for many, many years, and something that was also brought up recently in the media, which is the topic of gun control and gun violence. Specifically mentioning Governor Newsom's proposal to stop it and what the public's response to his proposal has been as of late. On June 8th, 2023, Governor Newsom of California proposed a 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution. This amendment would ban assault weapons for all Americans and would also have a waiting period for purchasing firearms, along with a stricter background check process for purchasing firearms as well. Now, this was met with almost immediate criticism, partially from both sides. People are arguing that Governor Newsom has no place to make such a suggestion, that he is just the governor of California. He doesn't have a right to propose something that would be federally instituted across America. Some people on the left are encouraging him, saying that somebody has to do something. But then a lot of people are wondering if this was the right decision to make, and also if this is more of just a publicity stunt. Some people are questioning the credibility and the authenticity of his proposal as well. This would call for a constitutional convention, which does concern some groups of people because a constitutional convention could bring up a lot of other things apart from just gun control. It could bring up things such as abortion access and equal rights to marriage. So it opens the door for a lot of other debate, which could be really tricky. So some people who find themselves to be more neutral or centrist, or maybe even who lean more towards the left, think that maybe this was too bold of a proposal and that he's opening the door to a lot of other issues that could be discussed in a constitutional convention. And it could also give credibility to the idea of a constitutional convention, which the Republican majority could use to their advantage to attack things such as abortion access and equal rights to marriage. However, I really want to dig into the different responses to Governor Newsom's proposal, and also just really the foundational beliefs behind gun control in the first place, which really influence people's overall reaction to anything being proposed in regard to gun control. So as I kind of mentioned on the last slide, there's been a lot of praise on the left with some criticism as well. But a lot of people are thinking, hey, somebody has to do something, right? So in the wake of dozens and dozens of mass shootings in America, a lot of people on the left believe that if nobody does anything, it's just going to continue. So we have to start making drastic proposals and solutions in order to actually get something done. But then other people think, well, is that really the right decision to make when the Republican Party is the majority, leading, Congress and most of America into certain decisions that are being made for the government? And then obviously there's heavy criticism on the right. They believe that it's government overreach, that Governor Newsom is, they're kind of painting him out to be some type of lunatic. Like, what is his place here? He's just a governor. He doesn't have the right to tell us what to do on a federal level with gun control. So there's a lot of criticism on the right, and then a lot of people on the left saying, well, somebody has to do something. And then there's the people who are more centrist and fall in the middle, who have a little bit of both. They think that, the federal ban and maybe his Newsom's specific proposal is going too far, or that he doesn't have the right to propose that. But they also think, well, we have to do something. So there's a lot of debate, but it all kind of stems from people's foundational beliefs when it comes to gun control and when it comes to what to do with the issue of gun violence in America. So digging a little bit into the core ideology on both sides. The left's perspective is they come from an immediate place of concern. They see this issue getting worse. They see that there's nothing concrete being done about gun control either. And there's just too many mass shootings and too many mass acts of violence happening. And a lot of times these people also come from more social settings and social jobs, or they have a lot of family and friends within those positions. You know, people such as myself who are teachers often are very concerned about mass shootings. People who work in universities, people who work in malls, people who work at concert venues, anywhere where there's a large social gathering, which is a lot of places, these people tend to be more concerned about gun control and how to act in mass acts of violence. Um, a lot of times they tend to demonstrate a little bit more empathy towards survivors of mass shootings and people who are affected by gun violence. And they're really affected by it emotionally. They see it as something that is a detrimental issue to people in America. This is at the top of their priority list of something that needs to be done. Um, Ultimately, they believe that more guns means more danger, means more deaths. They see guns as the issue and they want to restrict them to ensure that there is safety for the total of American society. On the rights perspective, they see any type of gun restriction as government overreach. They think that this is very dangerous because their guns are their protection against, potential government, total government control. Um, they usually come from a long lineage of gun ownership. They are the generations of people who have protected themselves with guns and who were taught that guns are their right to safety. On the right side, they believe that more guns means more protection. If they're putting guns into the hands of good people, then they are ultimately going to be protected. So a lot of times they don't think that the solution is to restrict guns. They think that the solution is to add more guns into the mix and give more guns to people who know how to use them and who will protect society. So, at the core of the ideology here, both sides believe completely opposite things, which makes it really hard to find a solution. But then you also have people who are more in the middle. People who are in the middle believe there's a problem with gun control. They believe that there needs to be some type of limitation or restrictions, usually along the lines of like raising an age limit or stricter background checks. They might even agree to a waiting period with purchasing a gun. However, they do not think that there should be total bans on any type of guns, which goes back to Governor Newsom's proposal of the banning of assault weapons. That's a very hot topic because a lot of people don't think that there should be a total ban on a certain type of firearm. Those in the middle typically agree with that. They don't think that there should be a total ban on a specific type of firearm, but they do think that there needs to be maybe a little bit more restriction or stricter policies, or stricter background checks, age limitations, things like that. They also see gun ownership as an American right and privilege. They think that the Constitution states that Americans should have guns, so we should be allowed to have guns, but they do see the issue of gun control. So those who are more centrist and more neutral, they don't have a lot of proposals to offer here because they're so stuck between there's an issue, but how do we solve it? Because we can't take away the guns, but what can we do to make sure that mass shootings decrease and Americans are safe in their own country? This places us in limbo because what often happens is the Democrats propose a very bold solution to the issue of gun control because they believe that something drastic needs to be done to make sure that people are safe, which leads the Republicans to immediately reject it because it often deals with a ban on assault weapons or something that just feels too restrictive and feels too much like government overreach to them. So after their total rejection of the bold solution that the Democrats proposed, there's no agreement that's met. So we are now in this cyclical place of a mass shooting happens. Democrats propose a bold solution that they believe is necessary. Republicans reject that solution because they think it's government overreach. There's no agreement that's made, and then there's another mass shooting. It's so cyclical because of the core foundations and beliefs of Americans. You either believe that guns are the safety of Americans or you believe that guns are the danger to Americans. And finding the middle ground there is really tough. What I believe that this comes down to is stubbornness. Americans were raised to be fighters. Our history was born out of a place of fighting for freedom. It's continued to be along that pace with a lot of different groups of Americans fighting for their own individual freedoms. So we're fighters, which means that we come from a place of stubbornness. And when we really believe something, we do not shift our belief on that, even if it's detrimental to us. So when the left is not willing to compromise and the right is not willing to compromise and the middle doesn't really have a solid solution to offer, none of us have anything to offer. We have to start asking ourselves what we're willing to compromise and what is the purpose of our belief system. If we really look deeply into our core beliefs and our core ideologies behind guns and behind the purpose of why we want them or don't want them, we can maybe start sifting through some of the unnecessary details and things that we're willing to compromise on to really get to a place of a solution. Without compromise from either party, nothing is ever going to get done because they are just going to be in a perpetual state of disagreement. So when we reflect back onto Governor Newsom's proposal, it's going to be too bold for Republicans, and we are in a Republican majority. Him opening up the door to a constitutional convention could be very tricky. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but we can really see here that without the willingness to compromise on something that seems to be so foundational in a lot of our belief systems, we aren't going to have a solution. This was my presentation. I hope that you all enjoy. I am excited to hear your feedback and suggestions on what I could potentially improve for the future. Thank you for listening and have a great day, everybody.